The self. It's something we spend our entire lives trying to define, searching for it in the outer world, constantly measuring its worth and significance. But what if the self you've spent your life protecting and cultivating isn't the real you at all? In fact, what if the real you is so much more than this small, fragile, self-centered identity? The truth is, the journey of self-discovery might not be about building a stronger self, but in losing the self you thought you were entirely. These ideas aren't new. In fact, they've been explored for centuries by mystics, philosophers, and poets alike. One such figure who delved deeply into the concept of self and ego was the 13th century Persian poet and mystic, Jalal ad-Din Rumi. His profound spiritual insights into the nature of the self have not only shaped Sufism, but continue to resonate with seekers of truth today. Here, we embark on an exploration of the soul, peeling back the layers of human experience to uncover deeper truths. We'll dive into spiritual insights, personal transformation, and the wisdom of ancient mystics like Rumi, shedding light on paths to self-awareness and enlightenment. Whether you're searching for peace, wisdom, or simply a better understanding of your own journey, we're here to walk with you. In today's video, we'll explore Rumi's views on the nature of the self, particularly his ideas on the ego, selflessness, and the process of ego death. We'll uncover how his teachings illuminate the spiritual journey of shedding one's false identity, a journey that takes us beyond the confines of our limited perception and into the boundless realm of divine connection. Rumi's exploration of the self, much like his poetry, is both mystical and deeply philosophical. To understand Rumi's ideas, we must first recognize that his spiritual journey was not one of simply acquiring knowledge, but of experiencing truth directly. His teachings revolve around transcending the limitations of the ego, the false self that he believed distorts our perception of reality. In his words, the ego is like a veil that separates us from the divine, a false construct that convinces us we are separate from the rest of existence. He often spoke about the ego as a shadow or a mask that we wear to identify ourselves in the world. The concept of ego in Rumi's teachings goes beyond simply selfishness or pride. It represents the small, individual sense of self that keeps us trapped in a state of isolation. One of Rumi's most famous lines in this context is, "You were born with wings, why prefer to crawl through life?" This line speaks to the soul's innate ability to transcend the ego and reconnect with a higher truth. The wings Rumi refers to symbolize the divine potential that lies within all of us, a potential often hidden beneath layers of false identity and ego-driven desires. Rumi believed that the ego is a product of illusion, an artificial construct that makes us believe we are separate from God, from the universe, and from each other. It's through this lens that we experience life as a collection of individual events, rather than a seamless, interconnected whole. The ego, in this sense, builds barriers that keep us from seeing the unity of existence. When we identify with the ego, Rumi argued, we become trapped in a cycle of desire, fear, and suffering. The more we cling to this false identity, the further we move from experiencing the truth of our own being. For Rumi, true spiritual awakening begins when we confront and let go of the ego's illusions, allowing the divine essence within us to emerge. In his poetry, Rumi frequently uses the metaphor of a garden to describe the soul's transformation. He writes, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." This wound represents the breaking down of the ego, the place where we experience discomfort, vulnerability, and the disintegration of our old self-concept. It is through this wounding that we allow the divine light, truth, love, and enlightenment to enter. Ego death, in Rumi's teachings, is not an end but a beginning. It is the shedding of the false self, which ultimately allows the soul to reconnect with its true nature. Rumi often emphasized that the ego must die for the true self to be revealed. The journey toward ego death is not an external one, but an inner transformation. It requires us to relinquish our attachment to our individual desires, fears, and attachments, everything that feeds the ego, and surrender to the larger, universal truth that unites all beings. The concept of ego death in Rumi's teachings is linked to the idea of selflessness. Selflessness, in Rumi's view, is not about negating the self entirely, but about recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings and aligning oneself with the greater flow of life. It's about understanding that our individual self is just one expression of a vast and infinite reality. By surrendering the small, egotistical self, we open ourselves up to a deeper connection with the divine and with others. One of Rumi's most powerful lines on this subject is, "When the soul lies down in that grass, The world is too full to talk about ideas, language, even the phrase each other. No tracings of the self remain. This line speaks to the ultimate goal of spiritual transformation, the dissolution of the ego and the experience of unity with the divine. In this state, the distinctions between you and me, us and them, dissolve. All that remains is the boundless, infinite presence of love and truth. For Rumi, the path to self-realization is a journey of inner transformation. It's not about striving to become something, but about letting go of everything that we are not. Rumi used the metaphor of a lover and a beloved to describe this process of transformation. In Sufi mysticism, the soul is seen as a lover who is eternally searching for union with the divine, the beloved. The lover's journey is one of continuous longing, a longing that eventually leads to the dissolution of the self in the presence of the beloved. In his famous poem, The Guest House, Rumi writes, "This moment is all there is. Welcome it all, joy, sorrow, pain, and bliss, because they all come to visit you, bringing gifts." This message is clear. All experiences, both joyful and painful, are part of the journey. Each emotion, each trial, each moment of ego-driven conflict offers a chance to transcend the self. As we welcome each experience, we slowly let go of the need to control or resist, allowing ourselves to be transformed by life itself. Rumi's teachings show that the ego is not something to be fought against, but something to be understood and transcended. By accepting the ego's role in our journey, we begin to recognize its transient nature. It is, after all, not the ego that defines us, but the love and light within. The journey to self-realization, as envisioned by Rumi, is a deeply spiritual one, an unfolding process of shedding layers of false identity, illusion, and attachment to discover the divine essence that lies within us all. His teachings remind us that the ego is not our true self, but merely a temporary construct that veils the deeper, eternal truth of who we are. By engaging in the process of ego death, we allow the true self to emerge, a self that is connected to all, united in love, and one with the divine. Rumi's message invites us to embark on this journey with open hearts, to surrender our attachments to the ego, and to trust in the transformative power of love. As we walk this path, we can begin to experience the profound joy and peace that come from realizing our oneness with all of creation. If you found this exploration of Rumi's views on the self and the ego meaningful, don't forget to subscribe to the Unfolding Journey channel. We'll continue to unravel the mysteries of the soul, diving deep into spiritual teachings, mystical wisdom, and practices that help us awaken to our true nature. Join us on this unfolding journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth. Remember to like, comment, and share with anyone who might benefit from this message.